All right. So, shall we begin?
Sure.
Any other questions?
No, I'm fine.
This is episode number 59 of The Inspiring Talk with international speaker and author Mukta Mahajani. Welcome guys to The Inspiring Talk. My name is Vijay Gautam. I'm host for this show. Each week I interview today's most successful and inspiring personalities to help you realize your inner potential. I'm very excited for this one, guys. My guest for this episode is Mukta Mahajani. Mukta is an author and international speaker on alternate dispute resolution methods with degrees in psychology, anthropology, and law. In a career spanning over 20 years, Mukta has worked with World Bank Group. She has been guest lecturer at Institute of Repute, such as New York City Bar Association, Mumbai University, and IIT Bombay, among others. She has been awarded with Star Youth Achiever Award by Global Youth Marketing Forum, Young Achiever Award by World HRD Congress, among several other awards. Mukta has been writing on negotiation, dispute management, and communication at the workplace for several years now. She has already published 3 books. Her latest book, The Code Awaken, the Hidden Wisdom of Your Heart, is about how we can resolve most of our problems by applying the wisdom of our heart. On this episode, Mukta shares what does inner wisdom of heart means, how to be in control of our emotions, power of asking questions to oneself, developing negotiation skills, and a lot more. I have thoroughly enjoyed having this conversation with Mukta. I hope you do as well. Now, without further ado, let me welcome Mukta Mahajani. Welcome back inside this episode, guys. I'm sitting here with Mukta Mahajani. Mukta, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And congratulations on your book, which was launched last week, The Code.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Code Awaken the Hidden Wisdom of the Heart. It was launched by Shri Vivek Vansarkar, who's Commissioner of Police of Thane, and also by Shri Vitthal Kamath, who's the Chairman of Orchid and Kamath Group of Hotels. The Code Awaken the Wisdom of Your Heart, right? So could you share a bit about what this book is all about, if you have to quickly summarize the book? You make your money work for you.
Mm-hmm.
You make your intellect, your talent work for you. You make your hard work for you. You make your power and contacts, in a semi-negative sense, sometimes work for you. Why don't you make your hidden wisdom work for you?
Okay.
You have so much hidden wisdom within you to make the appropriate choices when the world is not going your way, when life is throwing challenges like a googly or a curveball.
Mm-hmm.
You know what to do, but you just let 7 attributes come in the way and you don't make the right decision. Then you regret it, and then either you go home and cry, or you go to some elder person in the family, a respected member of community, and say, what can I do? How do I make things right? But you're a mature adult. You know how to make things right. Why not just rely on yourself for that? That is the code, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Awakening your own hidden wisdom, getting over 7 negative attributes, and knowing that you yourself have the answers within you.
Yeah. So people talk about, the wisdom of our brain, right? So we talk about the mindset and the wisdom that you have in our brain. So you are talking about the wisdom that you have in our heart, right? So what does that exactly mean, the wisdom of our heart?
Now, that's a very interesting question, which nobody has asked me before. So I thank you for that, Vijay. Wisdom of the heart, I believe, are the collection of experiences that we have hidden in our heart along the way, that have come to us along the way. Good experiences, bad experiences, memories, conversations, interactions, friendships, relationships, Every single thing, if we think about it, has taught us something. No experience in life is without some understanding. I don't believe life is a coincidence. I believe that if you want to learn and if you are synchronized with the universe, you will learn what you have to, you will get what you need to, what you want to. All these things in summation are you as a human being, which remain with you always and beyond. And all you need to do is tap into yourself to know what you need at what point in time. When you feel you need guidance or advice, you can first go to yourself. And this is your hidden wisdom. Things accumulated from the time that you remember. The
experiences and our own life experiences.
Yes, that you remember.
True.
The time memory you have.
Yeah. When we get into those kind of difficult situations in our life, and you have said on your book about these 7 deadly sins that come, as a barrier before you can tap into the hidden wisdom of your heart, right? So, and also when you are going through the difficult time, it's easier for anyone to look outside rather than looking inside, right? So how can one start looking inside of them?
What stops them is that they look for solutions in the outside world before they look to themselves.
Okay.
People imagine themselves to be complete and perfect in not the sense one is supposed to in the spiritual or adhyatmic sense. People believe that something has happened and they have evolved enough to not really look within themselves to see if they have to learn something. But until the day we die, we are a growing process. We are an iterative process. We need to remain open to learning.
Okay.
And when you're open to learning, you automatically wonder, what can I do in this situation?
Mm-hmm.
As they say, there is a very popular saying, either you win or you learn. So people look for instant gratification like fast food outside when they are hungry, rather than going home or making Maggi noodles.
True.
Rather than making some dal and rice, which may take slightly longer than making Maggi noodles and getting a chicken burger or a vegetarian burger. It's a little bit like that.
True.
People, family, elders, friends, good people, bad people, they will give you instant advice. It's quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
It's not so great in the long term. If you pause, if you are aware of yourself, it takes slightly longer.
And I think at that point in time, somebody is looking for a quick fix and just run out of the situation.
Yes. Oh, I hate my boss. Oh, why did my colleague get the promotion? Oh, why am I treated like this? Oh, why doesn't anybody listen to me? Oh, the world must give me this and must give me that because I deserve it. And the thing is, perhaps you do. Perhaps you do deserve it. Mm-hmm. Perhaps somebody is being unfair. Mm-hmm. Perhaps you aren't being listened to. But reacting in an outward sense and negative sense is like dealing with a problem and not with a solution.
Mm-hmm.
It's like looking at it with the same kind of mindset as the problem itself. And if you think back to other experiences in your life, you aren't going to get a solution. When did you ever get a solution by ranting and raving and looking outside? Did your parents never tell you, खुद के नजरिए से नहीं, दूसरे की नजरिए से देखो? Look from somebody, be empathetic. Empathy is a big form of wisdom. Listening from another person's viewpoint, putting your feet in their shoes is a very big example of wisdom. Do you know there are scientists who have proven that over time, not little bit healthy ranting, raving, but over time, negativity and depression and anger and jealousy actually dull your brain. You're actually not able to function as well as you would. And in some cases, I believe longevity is affected. So pray tell me, why do you want to put yourself through that? Anger, greed, jealousy, ego, you're burning yourself. Please understand, you're only burning yourself. Bijoy, I might have something against you, which I clearly don't. But you don't know that. What is the point in me seething inside myself and wondering, Bijoy, and some over expectation, which is one negative attribute in the book, and talking about something that, oh, Bijoy did not do this, oh, he did not do that. Well, either you look at the situation for what it is and appreciate that is not expected from Bijoy, or if you feel so strongly about it, just ask him, hey, you know what? I thought perhaps this would also be done. What do you think?
We go out and tell to everybody else but that person.
Yes. So I don't want to leave and go talk about Bijoy behind his back. Deal with it. Find your own way to handle it. Get it together. Get yourself, apne aap ko kabu mein rakho. Get yourself together. And Bijoy, one thing I will clarify at the outset. This is not about serious crimes. It's not about heartbreak. It's not about, those major things. This is about your everyday small to medium ups and downs that can be avoided if you know that you can't control the outside. You can control the inside, your own inside. Nothing else you can control. Nothing else you can do. That is the code. Control yourself.
Somebody who has been primed by the society that I have to react in such a certain way. So maybe learning from the parents, to react on those kind of situation, or somebody joins the company for the first time and he sees that kind of culture in the organization and he says, okay, this is how it is, and I'm supposed to do the same as well, right? So that's most of it. If we talk from the organizational perspective, then it's percolating down from the senior leadership and all of that, right? So, but it's not a one-day transformation to start looking within myself, right? So what would be the first starting point where I, rather than pointing to someone else or building all of those 7 sins which you say, anger and procrastination and over expectation and all of these different
over-ambition,
jealousy, right? So
over competitiveness,
rather than, allowing those things to build up. So what would be the first step to my journey in tapping my inner wisdom?
I believe it would be self-awareness, to the extent that if I look back and see how I reacted the first, second, third, and fourth time, clearly there would be no positive outcome to that interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Either I have lost my friendship, or I have created more of a problem for myself, or I have had to forcibly go to somebody and say, I need help to get out of this situation. Or I have become depressed and guilty later on because I realized that I am not my family member. I am not a negative person. I am not what I have been taught. Bijoy, every human being has their own set of learning and reality. A reality that is passed on to them from their family, which may be negative in nature, does not have to be their reality. Parents identify with their children so much that they subconsciously sometimes pass on a lot of things instead of showing restraint. And children in turn think that if parents are reacting in a certain way in a situation, then that culture is justified, that truth is justified, and therefore the reaction is justified. But the culture and truth do not have to be that child's culture and truth. You do not have to accept that to be your culture and your truth. And if you separate that negativity, not from your parent, but the negativity of that person from who you are, do you know, you will actually realize that all of these 7 negative attributes, I don't have to actually be any of them. I believe in competing only with myself. I don't think anybody else in this world is that important that I compete with them. So I don't really care. I will either admire somebody or I will say, oh my God, really? That's about it. I won't do anything more than that with regard to somebody else's success. So you don't actually have to be an angry person. There is a story in the book where a young woman goes to a sage and says, please help me. I am an angry person by nature, and I'm a young woman and I'm scared and I don't want to be angry all the time. And the sage says, okay, become angry right now. And she says, what? I don't know how to do that. And he said, why? You said you could be angry anytime because it's your nature, right? She says, oh, no, I'm not angry right now. So he says, let's identify what happened to make you angry. That is what has made you angry, an issue. You are not an angry person, but her reality has become that way because she's lived with such people all her life. So she thinks that anger is the most obvious reaction, and being angry is the state of mind that she has to be in because she's simply living in that situation. But she doesn't have to do that. And for that, you need self-awareness. You need to think a little about, do you really have to go through this particular thing feeling negative? If you can't walk away, which many people can't because of circumstances, can I not do something to feel positive about it? Healthy anger, healthy jealousy, healthy overambition, over expectations are always going to be there. But you don't have to fret and kill yourself over it.
Mm-hmm.
Your reality is your reality. It's what makes you tick. Perhaps you'll go back and tell your uncle and auntie a way in which they will not be angry about whatever it is they are being angry.
True.
Perhaps you will go back and you will teach them. There is a story like that in my book about overcompetitiveness, where it is the next generation who goes back to their CEO fathers and tells them, see, dads, outside of our office, we can be friends. We don't have to hate each other all the time. It's not worth it. The children made their own reality.
Yeah, so what I'm getting from, what you have just said is, number one, reflecting on how you reacted on those situations,
correct,
right? And maybe, putting them down on the paper. Is there any specific practice that you do to reflect or reflection,
so
that you personally use?
So yes, the code is how I do it, which is why the code is written that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's about quote either from a religious text or individual, or from world-renowned leaders like Barack Obama, for example, or Mahatma Gandhi ji, or you have the Ramayana or the Bhagavad Gita or the Mahabharata or Kashmir Shaivism or Vedanta or Gautam Buddha, so on and so forth. And you have a 1.5 minute read, short and sweet stories, followed by a takeaway section called the code, and 5 contemplation questions.
True.
After that,
yeah,
which can reflect on your past, present, or your future, or you might just find it interesting to absorb, imbibe.
So I actually love the way, you have, structure your book by starting with a quote and then a story, and that's followed by the code and then contemplation questions. And I think asking, right questions to somebody, because I know it for a fact that when somebody asks you the right questions at the right moment, that's simple questions. You don't have to be given 1 hour lecture, or you don't have to be given, these long, you don't even have to go through like any of these long self-help books to transform your life. That one simple question can change the trajectory of your life, right? So, and I love the way you have, jotted down those questions to contemplate and looking inside yourself. Right. So one thing that I really love that idea, and maybe having those set of questionnaires to ask yourself. So do you have those questionnaires that you ask yourself that, in particular situations that you have set for yourself, or how does it work? Or you just come with different set of questions for different situations?
Well, one thing is that, yes, different questions apply to different situations, clearly. And the exact format of the book, I will thank Mr. Akash Shah, who's the owner and publisher and friend of Jeko Publishing House, for his guidance on putting the book format exactly the way it is. We talked a lot about it, and he tweaked it and told me how things will look clearer. So that's his guidance for me. So apart from being a situation-specific questionnaire, the biggest thing about contemplation questions is contemplation. So whatever you ask has to be something which you are able to ask yourself. There are some questions which you clearly can't ask yourself. It's really stupid. And there are other questions which you know that they will make you think about yourself in a positive manner. This is not about degrading anybody. This is not about judging anybody. I have all 7 of these attributes inside me, Bijoy. I'm telling you clearly, this author is not telling her readers that you have these and therefore, you are all people who need to work on themselves. These are my experiences, my thoughts, my overheard conversations, long lost impressions that I have culled and gotten together that I feel ultimately will only help people in some manner in looking at themselves, becoming more aware of who they are. Perhaps they have one or more or none of the attributes in the book.
So definitely one of the exercise that you have said is reflecting. So I think that's very, very powerful because I myself have started journaling in 2018, and I have seen a lot of progress in aspect of whether it's building the productivity or getting those things done, and also checking on my emotions that we are talking about, right?
Bijoy, writing inadvertently will reveal your deepest secrets to you. In the beginning, it's hard. You might find that for days you can't write something. I would recommend to readers to write, even if it is one line. I felt upset today because. I felt happy today because. I have gratitude today because. You will start having a relationship. You will develop a relationship between you and your pen and paper. You will start longing soon to go back and express yourself on that paper. And most importantly, you will discover some new things about yourself. Oh, I'm writing this. I didn't think I would write this. It's a non-judgmental place in the universe for you. And I'm telling you, you feel light.
True. So true.
Yeah.
And I think, going that one step further, rather than just listing down the, things that went good or that went bad on that day, just asking that why questions. Why did it went good? Or, why I'm feeling grateful, as you have mentioned. That's just so powerful. I think, that opens up a whole new dimension, and we might have never thought of that, right? So that was one aspect of reflection. And another aspect that you have, shared is about embracing yourself, right? Embracing your emotion. If I do have, anger, or if I do have jealousy, or if I do have procrastination at the moment, for me to change that, the first thing is I need to embrace that, right? But it might not be easier for many people to embrace that. So how can one go about embracing who they are, or first accepting? Because somebody could be in denial, right? So I don't have anger, even though they do have. So how do you embrace yourself in that sort of situation?
I think the quickest answer to your question is that out of 99 stories, you will relate to some story or the other. You will find yourself being honest with yourself. Yes, I was high-handed with that person. Yes, I did not listen to my employee because I thought he's too junior to listen to. And he's the one who came up with the solution. But the code falls in learning and self-help categories. So when you're picking up that book, you have to have an openness to want to, without judgment, discover something about yourself or to move forward. It's like picking up a book on the planet and Saturn or the galaxy. I don't have interest, for example, if I do, but I'm just saying, perhaps, for example, I won't go to that section. I will not look for books on science.
If I'm in denial.
I will not look for books on cookery because my mom may have said, come on, look at your age now. You don't know how to cook? I'm like, forget it, And I am not going to go to that section and pick up that book on Maharashtrian recipes, no matter what. It's like that. If you don't want to learn anything about yourself, then don't pick up the book in terms of you will not go to a self-help section in a bookstore. You will not go to a learning section in a bookstore. And then down the line, you will wonder why negative things are happening to you. Why do I admire a wise person? Why do I feel wisdom is emanating from him? Because he has remained open to learning. There is a sage, and somebody asked her, "What is the purpose of your being?" And she said, "The purpose of my being is to learn and to teach. That is why I am on this earth." Believe me, we spoke a little bit about this much, much earlier before we began this. And we don't have just one life to do one thing, Bijoy. Our life is not about getting into a job and becoming a vice president or director, retiring with benefits. Perhaps for somebody that might be the best thing. But then what will you do if it doesn't work? Believe me, I have had so many setbacks in my life. I call myself the queen of setbacks. I have done so many different things in my life. I have done them because I have had no choice. I just wanted to work somewhere, so I did it. But mostly, I have reinvented myself. Mostly, I have looked within myself to see, okay, this is not working out for me. This is ended now. What else can I do? Or I feel that I have reached my capacity in this assignment. I have reached my capacity as this particular person. And so what if I have? I am not a failure because I reached my capacity. I want to now do something else. I don't want to do that particular thing anymore. Or maybe I'll do it in varying degrees. You can be a lawyer, you can be a mediation specialist, you can be an author, you can be a researcher, you can be an international speaker, you can be anything. In one life, you can do any of these things. You can be successful in all of these things. You don't have to do just one thing and be just one person in your life. As long as you're open to learning new experiences, new people, knowledge, books, arts, how much there is to learn from a being like that. How can you want to go through life not knowing about his work? Art, cinema at its best. So you keep evolving as long as Johnny Walker kept saying, keep on walking. That's life to me. That is what code is. That is about evolution. Until the day you die, you can keep learning. You have never stopped learning. You have never stopped evolving. You are not perfect in the human being sense, in that sense, None of us are. In our own selves, we are perfect. That is spirituality. That's a different thing altogether. Otherwise, calling ourselves perfect is like ego.
Yeah, so I think you have made a kind of great point in we don't have to follow the way it used to be, right? So get onto one job or maybe get onto one thing and then settle on that throughout your life, no matter whether you like that or whether you hate it, right? So, but now we have a lot of options, and with let's say internet especially, a lot of things have opened up. So there are so many things that never existed 10 years back. Now we have those opportunities, right? Nobody thought of being a YouTuber and, or maybe a podcaster, right? And then going full time in following their passion on creating content, right? So that's definitely, we do have that in front of us. So we, as a generation, we are more luckier in that sense, right? Because we have a lot of whole range of opportunities in front of us. Also, switching a bit of gears, you said that you would like to call yourself the queen of setbacks, right? So,
yes.
So I would like to hear, some of these setbacks, or the one which you think are the biggest one, if you'd like to share, definitely, and the lessons learned out of that setback.
Well, there are two very big defining things in my life that made me an author.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be an interesting conversation because I should have asked you that how you became an author from being a lawyer and mediation,
Yes.
Specialist. So please go ahead.
So I used to work in a really nice job. I loved that job. And this was about 20 years ago.
Okay.
And I loved the people. I loved everything about it, to the extent that I grew very quickly. I got to work with very senior people very fast. But I was disliked by my boss. And I didn't know how to handle it. And I left my job. And that has always stayed with me. That as a young person, barely into her 20s, I couldn't handle it. There was nothing I felt I could do, emotionally speaking. I was so miserable that the work didn't matter to me. And I was into mainstream law at that time. And then I got into becoming a mediation specialist. And I loved doing that. And I was sitting with one of these people in Bombay. And he's a very high-level individual. And we were working together on this document once. And he said to me, well, what else do you want to do in life? And I said, I guest lecture at IIT Bombay. I used to run 2 courses at Mumbai University on law, one of which I co-founded with the then HOD of law. And he said, but what else? And I said, sir, what do you mean, what else? And he said to me that, Mukta, you have enormous talent and this is not enough in your life. And I went back home and I said to myself, oh my God, what answer am I going to give this person? I can't go back to him and say that I've thought of nothing else to do. I respect him and admire him that much. And he was also somebody who stood by me in my initial journey of becoming a mediation specialist after returning from World Bank. So the corporate job happened, then World Bank happened, then mediation specialist happened. And I spoke to my mother and I said, you know what, I want to write, because I had this co-authored, co-researched book with the World Bank. And she said, well, if you think you can do it, then do it, My mom was great. Whatever I want to do, she's fine. So I took my synopsis and my little bit of chapters and I approached Jayco, and the rest was history. And so I got into writing on business management, negotiation, and communication, because I wish, Bijoy, I knew some things because of which I could have stayed in that job. And I don't have regrets, but because I became an author, I think partly because of that. So Let's Talk and Power Play are really about hanging in there.
Yeah,
when
both of
things
them, I think they are influenced by that particular incident.
Yes, greatly influenced.
Yeah.
And my writing as a whole is influenced by this one person who stood by me in my mediation career and who said to me that you have so much talent and you are not using it and I don't like it. And I was like, oh gosh, sir, okay, I need to think about this. And after which I felt that I wanted to move into the learning and self-help genre, because I believed that a part of speaking and listening, a part goes beyond that, which is about looking into yourself. So I felt I had written enough on the subject of how to negotiate and how to communicate. But now I wanted to look a little more into how you look at bettering yourself as a person, becoming less agitated or becoming less negative. So one was a setback and one was like a rocket which launched me. But that was one setback which really defined me. I mean, it was really difficult to quit that job. But I couldn't, my health was getting affected. I was getting affected and I didn't want to stay there. So
yeah, I think sometimes, trying and find those silver lines on the darkest phase of our life can help us really, maybe turn our life and take it to the direction that would otherwise, you could have never explored this new potential or the hidden wisdom that you had within yourself.
I mean, I'm lucky, Bijoy, that I have this ambitious streak, over ambitious streak. And B, I have a very supportive mother and very supportive colleagues. So, but at the end of the day, that being said, I had to choose a path for myself. I still remained a lawyer, I still remain a mediation specialist, but I love being an author, and that came from me. Nobody told me to become an author. The person who was very good to me did not tell me, Mukta, do this. My mother did not say, okay, now I'm telling you that I think you should be this. Ultimately, you have to tap into yourself if you want to survive. It's very simple.
And, over-ambition is one thing that you have just mentioned. And sometimes I feel myself that, being over-ambitious brings in the stress because you are putting, a lot of pressure on yourself by having those ambitions. And it's easier for you to sometimes forget, where you are itself is a lot. And that's something that you should be happy about. But you sometimes forget those, right? So how you yourself deal with overambition?
There are two things to deal with overambition: your ability and your reality. So a tiger can't do a monkey's job, a leopard can't do an owl's job, an elephant can't be a tiger, and so on and so forth. I can't become an astronaut. I do not understand maths and science. I cannot be a scientist to save my life. So I cannot have a setback and then say, let me just phone Bijoy, my new friend, and say, Bijoy, teach me to become a scientist. Bijoy is going to just put the phone down and say good night types, I can't do that. What do I know about myself? What do I know about my past successes? What do I love doing? What is it that makes me feel I can get up in the morning? And that can be 100 things. It doesn't have to be any one thing. And most importantly, it doesn't have to be a person. If you want to be happy, focus on a goal, not a human being. Take this as free from me. Not a human being. Your goal, no matter what that is, doesn't have to be money oriented. It can be money oriented. So your ability. And second, your reality. Can I write?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can write. Perhaps at that point in time, I go to a publisher, who says, Mukta, this is great, but we don't have that genre. Really, why are you coming to us? That's a mild example of reality. Bhaiya, kya karo? That person can't do anything for you. What is the point in doing that? Or you have a reality, but no ability. You have the best opportunities in some particular field. Say, for example, you want the glamour of hotel management. You want to wear those beautiful saris. You want to meet the chief guests. You want to meet the VVIPs and the actresses and actors who come for functions. But you're fat. You can't go into hotel management in a non-desk job, the glamorous job, not the job where you sit, in housekeeping or something, which is not a bad job. But I'm talking about a body weight situation. As an example, if I want to be in the front office, if I want to be a general manager, if I want to be going around meeting these people and welcoming them and be in charge of events or whatever it is formally called, I can't be fat. So the opportunity might be there, but the reality is not there. So curbing your overambition is mainly about these two things. Can you make sure that these two are in place, or can you do something to work hard to do that? Say you feel that you've done a 6-month stint because you had a contact and you loved hotel management. Well, then take 6 months out and lose your weight. Because you feel you're good at it. You can go to catering college, you can get your qualifications, you can do whatever. Then work on yourself. Then that is the only way you can reach that goal of getting into the hotel business. So it's that. It's your reality. It's what we call in Marathi vastu sthiti. It is what it is. It's not what it should have been. It's not what it could have been. It is what it is. Look at your own talent. Perhaps I was not into a mediation and I was not going to be great at mediation. what would be the point in trying to work with somebody if I'm not good? He or she is not going to give me an opportunity. But when I went abroad after I stopped being a corporate lawyer, I took courses in mediation. I took courses in negotiation. I had to figure out for myself, well, I like this field, which is out of court settlements. It's not mainstream law. But can I do it? Am I good at it? I discovered that I am good at it, which is where I could take it forward. But there is a process of self-understanding. And that is what I'm getting at. And by no means does any of this involve shirking your responsibilities, shirking your family, going on your own trip and saying that I've given up life, I'm getting into sannyas, and that is what Mukta said I should do, follow your heart. Please, Baba, I'm not saying that.
I really loved, the insights that you have put forth in carving the overambition. So knowing your reality and knowing is it for you or not. Just because your friend of yours is doing it doesn't mean that you can do it as well.
Absolutely.
But if you want to achieve that, then why not get help of that person, or maybe do what you are best at rather than venturing into something that you know that you are not best at and you would be wasting your time.
Yeah.
Right. That's a really a great point. So I quickly would like to touch upon we have discussed about a lot of things from your latest book, The Code. But your previous two books were more of negotiations and communication. So maybe we don't have that much time to go into in depth of each of those aspects. But I would like to quickly, ask you about, since one thing is your own example of having to, having no enough resources available with you at the point in time when you have to quit your job that you loved. And from that, taking that inspiration and putting it on your two books, right? So Let's Talk and Power Play, right? So both of these books are on those aspects of negotiations and communication. So why negotiation skills are important in workplace and in our life as well?
It's basically so that you are able to get the results that you want in any given situation, but keeping in mind that you also have to successfully give back to somebody else. So I want a certain end result, but I will also carry big joy with me. So basically, negotiation has many, many formats, but the most common format of negotiation is what you call a win-win situation. And I would look at a situation where I have an apple pie or a cheese pie and a cheese souffle, and I am going to share it equally with everybody in the room. And negotiation is not about losing and therefore winning and having to absolutely have to give something up and only then getting what you want. No, it's getting in various degrees what you want and the people with you also getting what they want. That is a true negotiation and not there are some negotiations which will never be successful because there is no sharing possibility. There is only one prize that can't be shared. So, for example, if you go to consumer court because an airline lost your baggage, you can't negotiate. There aren't any variables to negotiate. You either have to get your luggage back or you have to be compensated for that luggage. But otherwise in life, if you look hard enough, you will find enough variables so that everybody gets something. And at the end of the day, if people don't matter to you, then don't negotiate. But if people matter to you, as you grow in life, you have to carry people with you. You don't leave an organization badly. I have not left any place in my life where I have not been able to go back and have lunch or a cup of coffee. Nowhere, including the job that I left.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who gave me trouble then, today are my friends. And they say, can we work together? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's talk about that. That is negotiation. Don't close doors on people. You're closing doors on yourself.
That's very powerful.
That is negotiation. It was a moment of personal happiness, not pride or ego, but happiness when the people I worked with, and I won't specify whether it's India or abroad, but who came back to me and said, we want to work with you. And I was like, I was like, sure, let's talk about it.
Yeah. So what are the possible causes for the failed negotiations?
You can either negotiate by yourself, which is like you and me sitting and discussing something, or you can have a facilitator present who is guiding the negotiation. If he's a bad one, negotiation is going to fail. That's the first thing. Secondly, like I said, it's the nature of the beast. If you are a person who is only into fighting and litigation and winning at no cost, you're going to be closed-minded and nobody can convince you to negotiate. Not even of the best negotiator in the world.
So you are so rigid on your own perceptions.
Yes. Nobody can help you.
Yeah.
It's not magic, Bijoy. It's self-effort. Why? Because you want to help people and yourself, and you want to carry relationships, friendships with you. I'm not talking about heavy type. You want to have a cordial relationship with everybody in your life as far as possible. If I can help you, I can help you. If I can't, I can tell you nicely why I can't help you. That's negotiation. So either you have a bad advisor or you just don't get it. You just do not want to listen. Nobody can help you then. I'm telling you straight off. In my books, I have a disclaimer. If you have like a crazy boss or some psycho, I can't help you, okay? Don't say Mukta did not help us. I don't specialize in that.
Yeah. You should be prepared before any changes or any positive outcome,
you
right?
You have to be open to talking. At least, maybe genuinely you can't reach an agreement. At least talk about it. Victim of circumstances bhi ho sakta hai kabhi kabhi. But at least be open to it.
Yeah, amazing. So I'm really enjoying this conversation with you, Mukta.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So now it's time for the enlightening round. Are you excited?
Excited, and I'm wondering what's coming. Yes.
Yes. So it's pretty much like a rapid fire round, but I don't call them rapid fire. It's an enlightening round, what we call on this podcast, right? So, Mukta, you have been doing this amazing work and inspiring a lot of people through your books and the talks that you give on IIT and other organizations and all the work that you do. So what inspires you to do everything that you do?
My grandfather, Barrister S.K. Wankhede, who was a lawyer, politician, inspires me to do everything.
Anything specific you'd like to share or any incident? So this is supposed to be rapid fire round, but when I see something interesting like that coming in, I would love to learn more on if there is anything specific that he told you, or the act, or something that he did, or anything in particular that inspires you about your grandfather.
He was a very well-known person, and he was a very successful man. He was loved by practically every single person that I know. He told me once that, Mukta, you can love everything in your life, but don't ever fall in love with money. He gave me that advice, and he was not only very successful himself. Like I said, I don't know a person who had anything against him, and I don't know if I can even be 1% of that person, that human being who did everything and yet was there for that little girl whenever she needed him. And humanity, humility, love for people. He taught me those things. And I wish he was there to see me as an author. And Let's Talk was a crossword bestseller, and I wish he was there to see that.
I'm sure he's so proud of you.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Absolutely. Which one daily habit of yours do you believe has been game changer for you in your success journey?
Chanting Om Namah Shivaya 1,000 times every night.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Nobody has ever said chanting or even affirmations before, but I think that's really a powerful one. So Mukta, you yourself is an author, and I'm sure you do read a lot of books. So could you share a book or two that has had a deep influence in your own life?
Chit Shakti Vilas, or in English as it's called, Play of Consciousness, by Swami Muktananda of Ganeshpuri.
So I'm sure, as we have already discussed about the finding those silver lines on the darkest phase of our life, yes, and making peace with our past is the part of that. But if you were given an opportunity to go back and start your journey all over again, so what are those 3 things that you think you would have done differently?
Wow. This is quite a question. I think in one particular instance, one of the things I would do was be better prepared at when going in for that assignment. I think preparation is the key for everything, but I was not that prepared mentally or intellectually for the assignment. Perhaps I should have not taken that assignment at that point in time. It was extremely exciting, but I should have taken a call not to accept it and wait for some time if I could get it back again, if it was possible. I think that is one thing I would do differently in that particular case. I think secondly, I think I would be more patient with people, which I'm not. I don't have too many regrets in my life. I really don't, because I believe in just working things out. No point in fussing over it. Being
a mediation specialist yourself.
Just, forget about it or resolve it. I think that's what I feel. And third thing, I think I would say that there have been times in my life when I have once or twice trusted too easily, and I won't do that because I got hurt.
Okay.
So I think those things I would definitely.
Sure. So I have got one last question left for you.
Cool.
But before I ask that question, if people would like to get in touch with you and maybe know more about your work and programs and maybe get your book, what's the best possible way for them to reach out to you?
My books are available on Amazon.in. They are available on Flipkart. They are available in major stores like Crosswords many crossword stores, and Jaico Publishing House also. And the easiest way to get in touch with me is through my author page on Facebook, which is Let's Talk Before the Problem. And that is the surefire way of messaging me or asking me anything that you need to ask. And I do not answer strange questions, funny questions, personal questions.
Guys, make sure that you get in touch with Mukta and pick her book, The Code Awaken, The Wisdom of Your Heart.
Hidden
Wisdom of Your Heart, absolutely. And I'm sure you will find it an interesting read because, as we have already discussed about the format of the book, a quote, a small story, and followed by the code that Mukta has shared on each of those stories and contemplation questions, which are really powerful. And I'm sure the 7 different scenes or deadly scenes, which Mukta would like to call, if you want to, keep a check on each of these different, deadly sins, attributes, then make sure that you get her book, and I'll list down all the links and resources that we have discussed on this episode on show notes page. So make sure that you check the description or the show notes page on the website. So Mukta, here's the last question for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So imagine that you are standing on the stage of the largest ever built stadium in the entire world. And each of those seats on that stadium is filled. And let's say there are millions of people on that stadium. And they are passionately and eagerly sitting there waiting for you to share something and maybe listen to what you have to say. And you were given only 1 minute of the time to share the most important lesson that you have learned in your life. What would be your message?
It would be what Lord Krishna said in the Bhagavad Gita, which simply translated is that don't ever go too high in life with your success. Don't ever go too low because you felt you have lost or been defeated. Always, always remain equable. So go easy on yourself. You're human. You're evolving. Be kind to yourself. Love yourself. And remember that the middle path, the mental balance, is the most important thing. You have to stay in this race. You cannot win every point. You don't have to lose every point. But you have to stay on track in the race until the very end. That is the most important thing that you can do for yourself. Keeping on going is success. Remaining balanced in ups and downs is success. Loving what you do is success. Think about yourself from this viewpoint first. You will avoid a lot of heartache in your life.
This has been phenomenal having this conversation with you, Mukta. Thank you so much for coming here. I truly appreciate that.
Thanks. Thanks a lot for having me. Thank you.
There you have it. Guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Inspiring Talk. If this is your first time listening to this podcast, please be informed that you can access all our past interviews by searching for The Inspiring Talk on your favorite podcast app. And if you have been listening to this show for a while, make sure that you send your feedback about the show or topics and guests you would like me to cover on the show by recording your message by visiting theinspiringtalk.com/speak. That is theinspiringtalk.com/speak. You can access all the resources and links mentioned on this episode by visiting theinspiringtalk.com/59. That is theinspiringtalk.com/59. Finally, as Mukta said, be in control of your emotions. Don't let someone disturb your inner peace. Reflect on what has happened and why has it happened. This will help you in keeping check of your emotions. Start a journal and stay inspired to your journey towards greatness. Thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you in the next. Now, go out there and do something inspiring.